Yep.
Nice. Okay, cool. So, guys, this is a video with me and Michael Knipp talking about RPGs. We're going to talk about Michael and I. We play a lot of video games. Like, we've always played a lot of video games. And so we got talking and decided we needed to do a video about our top 5, which then became our top 10 RPGs because we can't figure 5 out. So we're going to do 5 here. And it'll be on my channel, and then we'll do another one for the other 5, and that'll be on Michael's channel. And then we'll just talk video games pretty, with some frequency because, there's not enough video game content on BookTube, I guess. So this is, y'all know Michael. If you don't know Michael, you should know Michael, and you should sub to Michael immediately because, Michael's one of the best in the biz. So it's good stuff. So anyway, how you feeling, Michael?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited.
Are you? I'm excited too. So yeah, we don't actually have any structure for this. We don't have a name for the segment. It's going to be called Video Games with Michael and Alan. That's what it's called. That's what it's called currently. This is the top 10 RPGs. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to let Michael start. These are in no particular order, and we had a really long discussion before going live about what an RPG is, like what comprises an RPG. And so we've kind of come to a pretty thin definition of there must be kind of leveling up, like character progression, kind of NPCs to talk to, kind of like a world with not just the main character, and a story. So there needs to be some kind of like storyline in it as well. And so there's a lot of things we're excluding, but there's a lot of things we're including. So if you don't be like, that's not an RPG. Like I've played so many RPGs, guys. Let's start with that. Like, there are so many good ones. There's so many good ones too. And if you haven't played a bunch of RPGs, you should be, because RPGs they remain my favorite type of game. But some of these are action RPGs, and some of them are like old school JRPGs. So I'm gonna let Michael start, and then I'll do one, and we'll just end up going back and forth until we get to 5, and then we'll end it. So, all right, Michael, go ahead without wasting any more time. What is one of your? Oh, these are in no particular order. We're not doing like 10 to 1.
There's no way I can order this stuff.
Look at this plate of spaghetti right behind me. What is that? Hold on.
I'll go ahead.
That's a good spaghetti.
I mean, if you want to eat, go ahead and eat. I'll talk for a little bit.
I'm not gonna sit there and stuff my mouth with spaghetti on this show.
It's also a video game mukbang stream, so
yeah, that's true. All right, so what is one of your favorite ones?
The one I'll probably say first is one that in hindsight, it takes a lot of flack, but for me it was really important, and I did replay it recently, and that's going to be the original Kingdom Hearts, which I guess is a little bit more of an action RPG. The series has gone off the rails, but instead of talking about just how insane that story is, especially when you include Kingdom Hearts 3, the original Kingdom Hearts 3, I have not beat Kingdom Hearts 3 because I think it's kind of really bad. and also leading up to it, I tried to do a lot of research to try to refresh my memory on things. And when I watched probably 3 like half-hour to 45-minute story compilations, and none of them even agreed on what Kingdom Hearts the place was, I was like, okay, this series is maybe bad, but I still have a special place in my heart for it, because when I was young, and it's very emo. It's very it's just like that faux edgy that sometimes a lot of it's all the people are wearing giant shoes and chains and baggy pants and spiky hair,
and their leather trench coats leaning against walls.
Yes, exactly. Yes, the leaning against the wall thing that you mentioned.
I'm Axel, Organization 13.
You really do remember me this time. I'm so flattered.
Yes.
Looks like Woody and Buzz are in trouble.
Which is the juxtaposition between the Final Fantasy characters and the Disney characters, and then all of this original storyline and the original Kingdom Hearts, where like it's all about saving the princesses because they have their pure hearts, and you have this story where like the Deus Ex Machina in the final credits scene is a Mickey Mouse coming in with a golden keyblade.
Now, Sora, let's close this door for good.
but like I was a kid, so I didn't even care how ridiculous, like, and how dark some of it was supposed to be, but how completely corny it was. Like, you have like Goofy and Donald trying to teach Sora how to smile, while also they're trying to steal the souls of everyone on Earth and like
and
put them in
never
this
forget
weird
that Goofy and
purgatory.
Donald. Yeah, Goofy and Donald are your party members.
Oh.
Yuck.
And
Like,
you're going through all the Disney worlds, like you go to the Tarzan level. There are parts of that game that they're bad. Like there are parts of the story where they don't tell you where to go. You're dropped into a level and you basically have to go to somewhere and trigger a thing that's never told to you, and then you go back and talk to an NPC and the story moves forward. But the ambition and the heart in the original Kingdom Hearts is just unmatched in a lot of ways in a lot of other games. Like it's a AAA expensive game that takes weird risks and spends a lot of money with properties that you normally don't get experimentation with at all. So it's like both this thing that I love while recognizing that it's also kind of bad, but even when I replayed it, I was like, you know what, this first Kingdom Hearts, I still like it. I still think it's really fun.
what about the gummy ship? You like the gummy ship?
I like the gummy ship, but I'm also not the type of kid that's going to sit in the gummy ship editor and build Legos forever. I'm just like,
whatever.
Yeah, well, it's like bad Star Fox 64. So it was like, whatever.
I played Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and the juxtaposition between what was going on and the Disney thing was always tonally bizarre.
Oh, it's
like
crazy.
It's so tonally dissonant, especially in the second game. And that man, like the writer, director, whatever, of Kingdom Hearts 2, 3, and who's also responsible for Final Fantasy 15 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Square Enix needs to take these properties away from him, because everything he touches, he's like, hey, you know, it'd be awesome. What if we made it nonsensical and put everybody in like really cool, like leaning edgelord coats? And what if we just what if we wrote a whole story, removed the second act, and then threw everything together and see if anybody can figure it out? And for Kingdom Hearts, what if we had 18 different like games in between the second and the third one that are all on like different timelines, like in the show Community, and
but they're maybe more important than the numbered entries.
Oh my gosh, like
I respect the audacity. I respect the audacity of someone who thinks that 2003 emo style is still cool. As someone that was 13 in 2003, I think it's kind of cool.
The happiest thing that was when I found out that Final Fantasy 16 was nowhere near this man's hands. So we have a possibility of it telling a coherent story. That possibility exists. Like he even made Final Fantasy 7 in Final Fantasy 7 Remake. I'm one of the few that hates it, like because I'm not blind. Like everyone needs to be honest. Like y'all are blinded by nostalgia. Like I hate Final Fantasy 7 Remake. I hate it so much.
Oh dang! I haven't touched the remake.
Oh my, it's trash. And watch this. We just got 8 thumbs downs right there by me saying that. I hate it so much, but the plot again makes no bloody sense because of freaking whoever that. I gotta look. Who's that guy's name?
I can't remember his name. I knew it at one point because I kind of cursed it a little bit.
Yes.
While you're looking that up, if anybody here is watching this and is familiar with both the Shadowhunter series and Kingdom Hearts, will Shadowhunters give me some of that like dark fake edgelord emo that I want from Kingdom Hearts? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Like Cassie Clare books?
Yeah, should I read what is it called? The first one. City of Bones? Should I read that? Is that going to give me Kingdom Hearts vibes? Is it going to give me Kingdom Hearts vibes mixed with Twilight? Because that's what I want right now.
Tetsuya Nomura. That's his name. Nomura, stay away from these properties. Stop it. So Kingdom Hearts is a good choice. I like the Kingdom Hearts. And the second one, I had no idea what was going on. But
because you didn't play the Game Boy Advance one, man. What were you thinking?
I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me. I know that I fought Sephiroth in an arena.
Oh,
I think in the Hercules level, I fought Sephiroth.
But that has nothing to do with the story, you know.
Of course it doesn't, but who knows? I've not played them.
There's no reason for the Final Fantasy elements to be in those games at all. They never justify it, and also they kind of like the further the series goes, the less it matters.
Yeah, I think they were just like Square's like, hey, look, you remember Final Fantasy? Like, y'all like Final Fantasy, right? It's like in Frozen 2, where you can see the gears of the creators of Frozen 2 working, where they're like, hey, you remember when people thought Olaf was funny? Like, you remember that? You remember people thought Olaf was funny? How about we just do a bunch of that? And I'm just like, Olaf is so insufferable in this movie because they do that. They're like, oh, Olaf was popular. Let's just do everything like to the nth power. And so Olaf is insufferable in the second movie.
That's
He's
why I
funny.
didn't like the later seasons of Community. I feel like they took what made it cool and leaned into it too hard.
That's always the case. Like if a sitcom
Mhm.
goes on too long, it becomes caricatures. Like,
Yep.
did you ever watch Friends? Like Friends is
No.
really bad about same thing with How I Met Your Mother and other series. But I love Community. I think we've gotten off topic already. I think the first paintball episode of Community may be one of the best paced and put together episodes of television I've ever seen.
Oh, it's
Like,
awesome.
it's so good. Back when that came on, because I watched the show as it was airing.
Oh, nice.
I had DVR'd that episode. I must have watched it 20 times before the next episode came on. Like, it was so good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we've got distracted. Okay, hold on. All right. Number 5, or one of for me, a top RPG. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the obvious one. I'm gonna say Witcher 3.
I slew it. It was a griffin, an arch-griffin, in fact.
In that case, I'm grateful. Arch grateful.
Oh, yeah.
Witcher 3 is one of the best RPGs I've ever played, and I have been waiting for a long time since the PlayStation 2 era to get a game that I feel that way about. And I didn't anticipate it because I don't really like Western RPGs because I played Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and I did not like it at all. I didn't like the storyline. I liked Patrick Stewart at the very beginning, and that's it. Didn't like the storyline, and there was a bunch to do, but all of it was boring. And so I did not enjoy it at all. But I played Witcher 2 for whatever system I played it for. And then Witcher 3, because I had never read the books. I didn't even know they were books when I played them. I figured out they were books after the second one. But Witcher 3 does it is, I don't know how freaking CD Projekt Red just completely dropped the ball with Cyberpunk, because Witcher 3 is everything done right in an open world Western RPG. Interesting characters. They have a good, I mean, it's not their IP, but they have a good, a world that they expanded on. They have, really good dialogue, really good voice acting. And all of the side quests, it's a first big game like that where every question mark I go to, all of these side quests are interesting. Even one where Geralt's trying to find some lady's frying pan.
Would you help me, dearie? Bring an old widower pan.
They took the time to actually, you have to have fetch quests in an RPG. I get it. But they took the time to make it worth fetching. Like, they wrote a narrative to tie all of these, to give Geralt a reason for doing all these stupid side quests. And because of that, and just because of some of the emotional moments that the game at large hits, these epic moments, especially if you've played Witcher 2, just the conclusion of that story, it's just absolutely fantastic. And I had put in 300 and I think 60 hours by the time I was done. And they released 2 expansions for the cost of expansions that are really games themselves.
Mhm.
They're both 30 hours. Or I think one's 20 hours and then Blood and Wine's 30. And both of those expansions are fantastic with a fantastic story. It's not like an add-on, here's a couple new challenge levels that you can try to do a time trial survival mode, which is what, you get with Resident Evil 7. They're like, here you go. Here's a horde mode. Pay $15. It was just so good. Did you play Witcher?
I have played some of The Witcher 3. Did not try it until recently, and I think maybe it's a little bit of overhype. Some of the stuff that I was doing when I was playing Witcher 3 though just made me laugh, because I feel like it was leaning really hard into trying to be as I don't know if grimdark is the right word, because it didn't make me feel bad. It was
Yeah.
almost trying to be as gray as possible, because I
Yeah.
remember there would be side quests that I would do, and it would be leading you to thinking that this person was in the right. So then you would choose to help, that person, and you find out they're in the wrong. So then you would be like, oh, I feel bad for helping the bad person. And then it'd be like, oh, he was actually in the right the whole time. This person was in the wrong the whole time. And it was constantly just trying to make you feel like you made the wrong decision. But it was doing it so much that I was like, this is just kind of silly at this point. It's like, kind of screw all these people.
Oh yeah, a lot of them are like that. And if you're like, oh crap, like I'm serving, like this person's in the wrong, and you reload and pick the other person, that person's also in the wrong.
Well, so it made me feel like less bad about kind of being a bad guy and be like, nah, screw this people. Like, I'll just take my money and leave. I don't care about you.
Oh, I mean, that's true. Like the world of The Witcher in The Witcher 3 is really like pretty much everyone's terrible. I tried to make my Geralt as I guess like Paragon, to use Mass Effect terms, as it was possible to be. Like I tried not to like go back on what I said I was going to do, but I had to, some people died because of the decisions I made, which is a rip. Sorry guys. But I loved it so much. Like maybe like again, I played it back in 2015, 14 when it came out.
Yeah.
So it's possible, like it doesn't live up to the hype anymore. But I know that when I played it, like, man, like I loved that game. So much fun for me.
I think the structure of it now is probably more visible than it used to be.
Yeah.
And I know that like people like Elle talked about like this was her first experience with it. I think for me, knowing more of the backstory or lore would have probably been more useful, because when you're in that tutorial, it really feels like there's a lot going on that I wish I knew that I just didn't know.
And that makes sense.
It does seem awesome the way that they tie, like I've heard lots of people talk about how they tie all the side quests together. Obviously it's got the big massive scale thing, and also I think they do, like it's either Witcher 2 or 3 where they are not afraid to just, hey, if you make this choice, huge sections of the game are going to be vastly different. That might be 2.
Yeah, that's both of them. That's both of them.
Which I love that. I love that, like when a developer is willing to make a choice and say, you know what, we're going to make a ton of content, and if you don't see it because of this playthrough, you don't see it. That's fine.
Yeah, that actually happens. That happens more in 2, because in 2 you have to pick a side, and you have to pick like the Scoia'tael, which are the elves, or the humans, and I always side against the elves when possible.
I think I missed that question in Jeopardy, the Scoia'tael one.
Yeah, the Scoia'tael one. So yeah, but you missed all of the Scoia'tael like quests and kind of stuff. You missed that whole storyline when you choose the humans. It's super different. There are some things there are some sections of the game that are pretty different in Witcher 3, depending on what choices you make. But yeah, in Witcher 2 especially, because you have to choose one side or the other that are trying to kill each other. So, but yeah, I do like that. I like that as well. I was just reading an article about Resident Evil 7, where the guy on Kotaku who was talking about there's stuff in Resident Evil 7 that if you don't come across it, like it'll never, these things will never pop up. And they were saying the same thing. They admire like developers that put stuff in that, no one's ever going to say.
That's like sometimes hundreds of man hours of work that
100%.
Most of the time when you do that, you're like, hey, I want somebody to see this because we're working on this. It's a hard choice to make.
Yeah, and Witcher 2 was my first exposure to Witcher as well. And Witcher 2 was like being thrown in the freaking deep end of the pool, because I had no idea what any of those things were. And I just learned about the world through playing the game. So I was in better shape with Witcher 3 than you were, for sure. But I've since read the short story collections and the first novel, and I like Witcher 3 better than all of them. Nice. So Witcher 3 remains my favorite. And I've seen the show too. Witcher 3 remains my favorite portrayal of The Witcher. I think the show, have you watched the show?
I've not.
I don't know why there's gotta be so many naked people in that show. Like I had to watch like an entire episode like this, and listen. But like Henry, what's his name? Henry Cavill, is that his name? Henry Cavill? Yeah. Yep. He's a really good job, but he doesn't have, like, the writers didn't like make Geralt funny at all. And he's funny in the games, and he's funny in the books too. And so I think it's missing that. Hopefully they'll put a little bit more of that in the second game. But I love Witcher. I know Witcher 3, that's such a basic choice. Like everyone likes Witcher.
But if it wasn't on the list, then the list would be called bullcrap probably.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be like, I only like obscure games that I had to read an English fanlation for. Like, I don't want to just be that. So all right, next one, Michael.
I'll pick one that's probably a pretty common one on lists as well, which is Dragon Age Origins, which I want to say might be my first American RPG that I ever played, maybe, if I'm
Nice.
thinking about it. And I had not at the time, I had never played the like any of the previous like CRPG things
Yeah.
that this was sort of building on the foundation of. And the way that that game starts, where each of the different characters that you pick has a completely different intro to the game. And I played that game at the same time as one of my other friends, and we had this completely different intro into the story, where obviously it eventually bleeds together and becomes its own thing.
Yeah.
It was the first time I actually got to play a game where it felt like choices I was making made a bigger difference. That was one of the major
Yeah.
things for like Japanese RPGs versus American RPGs, at least at that era, was Japanese RPGs were always they would sometimes give you choices, but it didn't matter. It just wouldn't progress if you didn't choose yes. But like this one, you were like, oh crap, I gotta kill this person or not kill this person, or I can save this person or not, or this entire species I could wipe out, or like all of these choices and the way it all came together in the big battle, the betrayals that are in Dragon Age Origins, all of it came together into being just like this epic experience of like I had never experienced something like that for me.
Who's the bad guy in that? Logain? Is it Logain in that
Yeah.
one?
Yep.
Yeah. He's a turncoat warden, right? The Grey Wardens. He like
is.
turned on them.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I can't remember if he is a warden, but he does
No,
the thing at
he's
the
not.
beginning of the game
He
where
betrays
he's
the
like,
king.
yeah, they're like, like, hey, you're gonna bring in the pincer movie. He's like, no.
Yeah. He lets the king die. That's right.
Yeah.
Man, Dragon Age Origin, that game looks rough nowadays.
Yeah, it looked rough when I played it, which was
Yeah.
only a couple years after release.
Yeah, it was, but I agree. Like Dragon Age Origin is so good.
There's so much stuff in that game. Like there's
Yeah.
so much to dig into if you want to.
Oh, I completely agree. Now I'm on a different, like, I know you said you didn't like 2, right? You didn't like Dragon Age 2?
I think Dragon Age 2 is awful.
Oh, we are gonna fight. Like we're like I liked Dragon Age 2 a lot. But okay, so that's fine. We're talking about Dragon Age 1, which we both enjoyed. Who was your party? Which 3? First of all, what class did you play? And who are your 3 party members?
I built myself, so I didn't really even understand the whole CRPG like types of class structure. So I was just like kind of a poorly spec'd tank, I think, off tank if you want to. Which like I didn't realize who you would get to be tank or whatever. I think probably the best option is to be a healer, because you don't get a healer late until way later, right?
I mean, you can get Win, but I turned Morrigan into my healer. I wasn't taking an old lady Win.
Okay. See, I liked Win, man. Morrigan is one of those characters you can't trust further than you can throw her.
Michael,
She's so bad.
Michael, who goes on an adventure to save the world with their grandma?
Dude, if I had that option, I would do it right now. My Mima's coming with me.
You take your Mima to save the world? I'm not taking.
It's so cool, and she's actually like one of the characters that gives a crap about like morality. Morrigan is such a like.
Are you kidding? Morrigan is the most virtuous character in the party. She's terrible. She's terrible.
She's definitely the most like consistently, internally consistent character.
She's probably consistently horrible.
Yeah, she's just like, I'm gonna do what I want.
Well, well. What have we here? Are you a vulture, I wonder? A scavenger, poking amidst a corpse whose bones were long since cleaned? Or merely an intruder, come into these darkspawn-filled wilds of mine in search of easy prey?
Okay, so you made yourself an off tank. You used Win as your healer. Who else?
I used Alistar as another tank, and then I'm pretty sure that I used what is that character's name? The like she wanted to be a priestess or whatever, but she couldn't be. Is it
Leliana, the bard?
Yes.
Leliana?
The character that most people hate. I used her as well.
Oh man, Leliana, she sat in the camp. She sat in the camp. She got
I related to her story because she had this like religious like turmoil that she was going through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Her story was good. I just didn't like her. So I did not use that party at all. Well, that's not true. So I was. You
have to like Alistar though, right?
Yeah, 100%. I was the 200. I was the two-handed sword wielder. So I was a heavy armor, but like a damp DPS instead of
just ripping through people.
And so I used Alistair, who is my favorite. He's so funny. Alistair as tank with sword and board. Then I used Morrigan. I spec'd her into healing. And part of the reason I use those two is because those two hated each other. So
Yes.
their banter
Oh, my
was
word.
amazing.
Why do you always go on about how stupid I am? I'm not stupid, am I?
If you need to ask the question,
Because it hurts my manly feelings, you know. Or one of them.
then I'll be sure to write you an apology once all of this is over.
And I also had the DLC, so I used the Golem Shale.
Oh yeah, I on subsequent playthroughs I've used him before.
So I had Shale as an off tank / DPS. I had 3 warriors. Shale as an off tank DPS, freaking Alistair as tank, me as DPS, and then Morrigan as heals and magic user when needed.
Yeah.
I had no rogues, rogues at all. But I loved the dialogue. But I just loved the banter between Shale and Alistair and Morrigan. Like Shale would not call Morrigan Morrigan. He always called her Swamp Witch. Oh, what does the Swamp Witch want? Like he always called her Swamp Witch, and she would get so mad. And he's like, I'm a golem. Like, I don't care. It's so good. And then, Alistair and Morrigan hate each other's guts too.
Well, I always had the problem where I was trying to like get everybody to like me as much as possible. And whenever I had Morgan in my party, I would make a decision. And every time I said something, she's like, no, screw you. And like you lose points with her. I'm like, get out of here. What are you here for?
Yeah, you gotta up that with gifts. You gotta find those gifts for Morrigan because anything you do good, she hates.
Yeah, it's
so
just
mean.
like, I saved a child's life. I'm sorry you're mad.
She is because you should have left it because to save that child, you let some book fall in the swamp or something. She's all mad.
Yeah.
Like Morrigan, she's mean, but I always chose Morrigan as my romance option, so I had to.
That's such a bad option at the end of the game. I don't know if we can talk spoilers at all, but that is such a bad option.
We can talk spoilers about
Oh,
freaking
word.
Dragon Age Origins, guys. If you don't want Dragon Age Origins spoiled for you, where she has the
Yeah,
she's
why
like
would you give her the demon baby she wants? That just seems like the worst potential option for the future of the world you could possibly do.
I don't know. I played this in college. Like,
Oh man, just be like,
was like-
she's like, I want to have your demon baby, and then be left alone, so I could just have ultimate power in my own little corner of the swamp. And you're like, I guess I'll sleep with you.
Isn't that canon though? Isn't that the canon thing? Doesn't she have the demon baby?
I think.
See,
I think that Dragon Age 2 allows you to pretend that didn't happen. Dragon Age 2 is like what it imports and what it doesn't is really weird. So I'm not sure.
I didn't Dragon Age 2, the structure was really weird. The whole thing being told by Varys. Sorry, I'm trying to focus my camera that went out of focus for literally no reason.
Instead of weird, I would probably say awful, but yeah.
Awful.
It's awful structure. It's so bad.
That game is not nearly as bad as you are making it.
No, dude. I feel like back in the day, I was my friend loved it, and I was like, I could write a paper. And listen, I don't know if you saw my video on objectivity versus subjectivity. Dragon Age 2 is objectively a bad game for
This
so
is
many
incorrect. Oh my gosh, that's so for the Anders storyline alone, Michael.
Anders he's a wild card who at the end of the game decides to just be bad. Like he just decides to go eco-terrorist.
Yes, but the groundwork is laid in the expansion, the 1.5, the Dragon Age Awakening. That
I've never played all the way through Awakening.
So Awakening kind of gives rise to Anders's kind of resentment for the Chantry and stuff.
I mean,
and
it makes sense.
Yeah, so it maybe came at him less out of left field in that than it was in 2. Like I know 2 is
it kind of comes out of left field. Like that the angst is there. It's more just like most of the time he's your peaceful, like chaotic, good character, and then all of a sudden he's like, "I'm sorry, I let off a nuke."
Well, the problem is I had to I didn't like the Templars, but I could not in good conscience side with my boy Anders. Like, dude, you just nuked the church.
Yeah, well, there's no option there's so many problems with Dragon Age 2, but one of the problems with Dragon Age 2 is almost every single story point in the game, there's no realistic option where I'm like, no, screw all of you people. I'm not siding with any of you.
Well, BioWare has that problem kind of in general with its thing, where it's like, here's your 2 choices. a realistic person would do neither of those things.
I've never felt as bad as Dragon Age 2 with the like it's like either you have to side with this awful party or this awful party. There is no.
You have to side with the psychotic fascists who rule like with an authoritarian fist, or the freaking Greenpeace terrorists.
Yes,
that
the
have
full
blown up a city block.
Exactly. The people from Final Fantasy 7.
Yes. Oh my gosh. All right, well, good choice. Dragon Age Origins. Wait, what origin did you do? I always did human. I don't like elves, so I always did human.
Human was probably my favorite, but also I kind of like the dwarf one. I like the little dwarfs.
Dwarf one was good. I like the dwarf lore in that game just in general. Okay, so my next one is we discussed on whether or not we could include these games on here. And I'm not sure that I knew how much I liked this game till long after I was done. So I'm going to put Bloodborne, or as I say, Bloodborne, on here. I played Bloodborne last summer with my buddy who lives in DC, and I never played a Souls game before. I had tried Dark Souls 1 for my PlayStation 3, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I died like with only the first skeleton, and I was like, I don't understand this game, and so I went and turned it back into GameStop. And so I never played them, and I've always heard about how hard they are. But my buddy,
that hurts me to hear, but okay.
Well, yeah, like literally. So my buddy was playing it, and he was saying that he was going to play it. He had it, and he's like, I've never played a Souls game. I've heard they're really hard, but I'm going to give it a go after I'm done with this. I'm like, dude, I have also been wanting to play one. So we kind of played it at the same time, which made it really fun.
Like in conjunction, like you weren't playing together, and you weren't like taking turns. You were playing.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. He was playing on his console. I was playing on my console, and we would call and like be like, "Oh, how far did you get?"
Try co-oping together?
Yes, we did that for. So, I'm gonna get there. So,
okay,
we beat it, and I beat it, and it was hard. Like the game's freaking hard. And so I finished it, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna platinum him." I'm like, "This game's too hard to platinum, man. I ain't messing with that." So I didn't make a save right before the last boss, and so I beat it. And then after I finished it, he was talking about, his platinum cleanup and all the extra stuff, like the extra dungeons and stuff like that. I forget what they're called, chalice dungeons.
Yep.
And I was just sitting there. I'm like, I miss playing that game. That game was fun. And you're making it sound really fun. So I went to load my game back up. Unfortunately, my choice was either I have to play on New Game Plus or rebeat the whole game from the start, because I didn't make that save to platinum it, because you have to get those the 3 different endings. So I had to play. So I cleaned up on New Game Plus, which made the game freaking harder.
Oh yeah.
But it was so much fun. It was Bloodborne to me struck the exact perfect balance of it was hard, but it was so rewarding. Like
Absolutely.
Just walking through, and like we got stuck in the chalice dungeon. There's this big monster. There's amygdala. It's one of the main story bosses, but we're fighting. That's the one that I died like 30 times on. And this is the one my buddy and I co-opted. He would appear and try to help me. But when you co-op, the things get like extra health. We would give it like I'm on summer break, and he's, in between having to work at home because of the pandemic. And so he's like, all right, I got an hour. Like, you want to give it a try? I'm like, yeah, let's give it a go. We give it a couple goes. On the one I finally got it, he died in the first 15 seconds of the fight. Like, the thing just clubbed. And I'm like,
it just full on screws you, because then it's just way harder and there's no help.
I know. I'm like, Finn, what the crap? And I ended up beating it.
Nice.
And I'm like, thanks for nothing, Finn. He's like, are you kidding me? That first hit I got was crucial to your success. But it was so much fun and so satisfying that I did finally get the platinum. He helped me. He fought the Child of Cost, the last optional boss, with me as well. Up from the DLC, because we played the DLC Hunters thing, which was also bloody freaking hard. And the reason it's on here, because there's not I don't really understand the storyline, but I think about Bloodborne pretty much every week about how I wish I was playing Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Like I just every week I'm like, man, I wish I was playing Bloodborne. Like, I desperately want them to come out with Bloodborne 2. They're like, the guy's like, no, we're gonna come out with Elden Ring. I don't care. Bloodborne 2. Why are there 3 Dark Souls and 2? I guess there's not. They don't do Neo, but there's like Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
There's Sekiro, yeah.
Yeah. Why have you not come out with Bloodborne 2? Like, it is so good.
Bloodborne is amazing. It's okay. There's so many good things I can say about Bloodborne. One of the things I will choose is they have maybe one of the most insanely interesting and also like so cool mechanics when it comes to insight and the way that relates to the Lovecraft lore of like the more you know, the more you see, and the worse it is, and the harder the game is, and like certain bosses do more damage if you have more insight. Like the first time you unlock enough insight to be able to see the I'm pretty sure the word is amygdala, which you just said. That's the name of the part of your brain. I'm almost positive NPCs in the game say amygdala, which is
They do say amygdala.
Yeah.
Amygdala.
Yeah, the first time you see the one on the freaking wall that may have grabbed you while it was invisible.
Yeah.
It's like one of the most mind-blowing moments in gaming for me.
Awesome.
And I'm a little baby when it comes to horror video games. I don't have a problem reading most horror books. With horror movies or shows or whatever, it's hit or miss. I don't watch a lot of them, but I'm not usually that. But when it comes to video games, I immediately get immersed, and so I'm a little chicken baby. So like playing Bloodborne and having all of those mixed with just the incredibly creepy sound design of like there's that one level near the end of the game where there's just a baby crying the whole time because it's that one lady.
The Mikolash level, isn't it? Oh no, that's after Mikolash. It's where you're climbing. It's before the nanny, the nursemaid or whatever.
The wet nurse. Yes, the wet nurse. Because there's the baby crying, and I think there's like that bride or whatever that's just there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so like that whole moment, when I played that moment, we had company over and they were sleeping next door, and I had to play that with headphones on, and I had to warn a man to be like, if you come in the room and you're going to talk to me, you need to warn me because I will freak out. I'll be like screaming like a little crying child.
It's terrifying at the end where the bride, like the ghostly, she's just staring up at the tower where the baby is and just blood everywhere.
Oh, it's so, but it evokes such a mood that gets you in the moment for the way that it blends like the Lovecraft story, because it's not Lovecraft at the beginning. You think it's just Victorian horror, and then all of a sudden it becomes Lovecraft. You're like, I like this. I like this, but also it's terrifying, but also it's really fun. And then the way that it the thing that it does differently than Dark Souls is it really rewards being way more aggressive than Dark Souls, which sometimes tries to have you be more defensive. And so when you get hit and you're like, I got to get some of that health back.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting mechanic that almost is like a fighting game mechanic instead of like an action RPG mechanic. And so that mixed with the story, like which most players are not going to know the story playing through it, but when the Souls games are sort of this whole communal experience where you play the game, you don't just beat the bosses, you sort of go and everybody compares the items they found and the story they found until you piece it all together. That whole experience with any Souls game is always amazing. So Bloodborne it's one of the most cohesive like themes about a game, and yeah, I think that deserves to be on any list. I would love a Bloodborne 2 for sure.
Oh man, seriously, I had to watch the video. He does like Souls lore video. Yeah. I did watch the Bloodborne one to kind of figure out what was going on. I finally there was one area where you can't avoid like the bell is always ringing.
Yeah.
I had to turn off my freaking internet because I kept getting jumped by people who just wouldn't leave me alone. It's like, let me play this game. Let me play this game. Why do people do that? Who wants to jump in someone's game and bother them?
I don't know, because when I play the Souls games, like usually there's I don't know if this is true in Bloodborne because I didn't play as much Bloodborne as I did at the other Souls games, but there are usually factions where you can level up in the game and unlock new abilities if you do certain things. And there's always a faction for killing other players, but there's usually a faction for helping other players. I always did that one. Like I would just sit at the same boss and help players kill all the time because it was so cool.
Nice. So you beat Bloodborne, right?
I did beat Bloodborne.
Have you beaten all the Souls games?
I have not beaten Dark Souls 3.
Is it good?
I have not played Dark Souls 3.
Oh, okay.
Dark Souls 1 is incredible. Dark Souls 2 is very, very good, better than most games, but just not as good as the first one.
I got you. I have Dark Souls 3 like on my buddy and I, because it's the summer's coming. We're about to play Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which is coming out in May.
Nice.
And we have decided that when we are done with that, we're going to do the same thing we did with Bloodborne, but with Dark Souls 3. So, like,
if you tell me when, I might try to.
Dude, Michael, yes, jump on that beast.
Yeah, that would be. It'd be tough, but I might be slow. But yeah,
I'm gonna be ancient slow as well, because again, like you said, Bloodborne rewards like aggression.
Yeah,
and so I am not the most patient when it comes to fighting bosses. Like I cannot tell you how many lives I lost in Bloodborne while being like, okay, he's almost dead. Go for it. No, you idiot. You got to wait for the opening. Like I get too excited. Bloodborne's great. Like it's just so good. I've never played anything like it.
The only negative thing you could say about those games is sometimes they're just hard to play when you're tired. Like it takes some mental fortitude to be like, I'm just gonna go get kicked for a second.
Yeah, I like it. The good thing about Bloodborne is that if I thought something was too hard, I could literally just go farm some freaking blood or farm some stuff, and then I could, level up my health or like, because I'm not great at like video games like that. Like I don't have twitch reflexes.
Same.
I don't count iframes when I'm playing like Smash Brothers or whatever. So but the fact that it was beatable by someone like me, it's pretty cool. Like I'm excited.
Here's a question about Bloodborne. Which ending do you think is actually the good ending?
I think the good ending is the one where you wake up. Right?
Yeah, I think the easiest ending is the good ending. The one where you're like, because I think you wake up and you're like, no, screw this place. I'm gonna go live my life. I'm healthy now, and I'm forgetting everything that I did here. Whereas like the hardest ending to get is maybe the worst ending.
Where the old one takes over you instead of
you become an elder god essentially.
Yeah, screw that one. Like.
And then the second one is you become the guardian to stop other people, which is like, these are bad endings. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm out.
Do you remember who your hardest boss was in that game?
In Bloodborne? I don't. I do remember with certain levels that my strategy became just running through instead of trying to beat my way through.
Yeah.
I don't remember. See, here's the thing. I don't remember struggling with any one boss that much in Bloodborne.
Yeah.
I know in Dark Souls I did.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I didn't really struggle with any of the Bloodborne main bosses till like the Chalice dungeons, and then a couple on the.
I've heard the Chalice dungeons get insanely hard.
Yeah, but it's man, it's so much fun, but so dangerous, so dangerous. All right, oh my gosh, Michael, we have talked about 2 games each.
Oops.
All right, whatever, I don't care. All right, you move. You go to the next one. Your move.
Crap. Let me look at my list. We mentioned it before. No, should I say that? No, I'll go ahead and talk about. This is a game that we both have talked about on the sideline before, but I have to talk about it. Shining Force, the original Shining Force game, or the HD remake. Both of them have strengths, but I'll say that the original Shining Force game is called Shining Force: The Legacy of Great Intention, which is one of the best worst subtitles for a game ever because it means nothing, but it sounds like it's epic. And this is the game that I never played back on the Genesis when it came out. I bought a $15 Sega collection pack at a store. My parents made me go. They had friends, and they would bring me, and I had to be at their friend's house, and all of their kids were super young, but they had a computer. So I would bring computer games to just play computer games while they, did adult stuff upstairs. And I was mostly playing Sonic and Comic Zone. And I was like, oh, what is this other game? When I realized it was just a full-on RPG, and then it was a tactics RPG, which was the first tactics RPG that I played.
Mm-hmm.
And then I loved it so much that I basically convinced all of my friends to get it, and we all started playing at the same time, like in middle school.
Yeah.
And then this was like at the same time that they announced that they were going to re-release and HD upgrade the game for the Game Boy Advance with the Shining Force Resurrection of the Dark Dragon was what that release was called. And it was, it was one of the like precursors to what became Fire Emblem. It was one of the like very early story-based Japanese RPGs that was actually tactics based instead of the normal, Final Fantasy sort of thing. And the diverse cast of characters just spanning all over the place.
Love
and
that.
Then the choice that it has in setting to be like techno punk fantasy where you have like laser mechs and also swords and bows and werewolves all fighting. The aesthetic and the fantasy world was incredible to me. I'd never seen anything like it at the time.
Yeah.
And then when the re-release came out on the Game Boy Advance, and that was a time when I had a portable system, and I like New Game plus beat it like 7 times.
Yeah.
And in the Game Boy Advance release, there was a card like there was. Have you played the Game Boy Advance version?
I have not. I had the Genesis one.
So they introduced a new character whose name is Mawlock, and a separate side story that happens in parallel to the main story. And basically, every time you beat a chapter, you do like a interlude sort of, and eventually he joins the main party. But the thing is that every main character and a lot of the main enemy characters in the game have a trading card, and each trading card, if you equip it to him, gives him a new ability. So then the game, like the meta game when you're playing New Game Plus, becomes trying to collect all the cards for Mawlock so that he can have these weird powers. And you on New Game Plus, you unlock him earlier in the game. So there's this whole like extra additional layer to trying to collect all the characters. Also, the Game Boy Advance version introduced like the Mass Effect ship story dialogue to it, to where after every battle you could go talk to people that were on your party for the mission before, and you unlock the backstory for all these characters. So there's just so much more depth. It was already an awesome game, and they added so much more depth to this game.
Oh my gosh,
so much! And all of my friends during the Game Boy Advance era are like, dude, Fire Emblem is so much better. I'm like, you don't understand. Shining Force not only was kind of the progenitor of this stuff, but there's so much more to this game than you even can fathom, because
I'm with you.
It did all of these elements at once.
Yeah, I am 100%. I always like Shining Force better than Fire Emblem. I don't really know why, but I just always did. Like my brother and I played Shining Force repeatedly, and each time through you take a different group of characters, and you try to like eventually we're like, I guess we'll try to level Arthur, you know,
which is like, so freaking, that's hard mode.
Arthur sucks. Like he's a centaur with no health that eventually becomes like, you know,
a half mage.
Yeah, a half mage. It isn't really good. Like just take Dower Anri, like get out of here, or Domingo. But you know, like I remember one of my favorite things is getting and this is what I like. I think this is better than Fire Emblem. No, I don't know how to. Oh, sorry. You cast heal because the heal spell gives you XP, whether or not like they're hurt or not. So you always like your healer needs to heal every round to get those 10 XP, because the healers were so hard to level. They were so hard to level. And if someone has 1 health, do not attack them. Get low in there to like hit it with his stick. Oh, it was just so good. My brother and I, actually, the first time we made it to Dark Dragon, we literally couldn't beat it. Like,
it's insane.
Like we could not do enough damage to it. And now, you know, every time I see him, we're like, how did we suck so much at video games? Like that we couldn't do that. But it was so good, and taking different characters every time. And like, I still remember, what's his name? It's not Barbasol. That's Barba something. Hold on.
Yeah.
Force. It's the pirate guy. Barba. Oh, it's Bar. Yeah, it is. Is it Barbatos? I don't know. Anyway, it's this pirate guy, and he fails to stop you, and Dark Soul appears. And, you know, the guy's like, no, just leave me in peace. And Dark Soul goes, leave you in peace? I'll leave you in pieces. And kills him. And I remember that still, like to this day, 'cause it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
It actually has some weird translation issues throughout too.
Oh, yeah, well, this is before localization was like really like top notch, and you know, from JRPGs to the you know, to the West. Why won't my camera fills me with rage? Just rage. I'm about to smash it. It goes out of focus for no reason. None. Oh, now it's been focused. I moved.
Yeah, you're good.
Stupid.
The story is so good in it too, though. Like the story matters. There's a lot of walking around sometimes to try to like trigger the next event, like I mentioned for Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
But it's still like it did things that games hadn't done. It was in a setting that I hadn't experienced before. It was like a JRPG in a world where most of the JRPGs were trying to copy Final Fantasy or do something along that line. It did tactics, which I just felt like it was so much ahead of its time, and it makes me like infinitely sad that any ties back to the Shining series are like weird JRPG fighter games.
I
now.
know. I hate them. I agree. I hate them. Like, but I love the fact that like it doesn't have the Fire Emblem paper, rock, scissors, where it's like axe is good against whatever. It doesn't have any of that. But I liked it that you had to plan because your entire team of, I think you got 12 guys. Yeah, your entire team of 12 moved. Then the enemy's entire team. There was no rotating. Like, it wasn't like these guys go and then a couple of these guys go. Your whole team goes, then their whole team goes. And that made it just brutal if you had terrible
If you
positioning.
screwed up, you were it was bad.
Especially in the later episodes where the laser eyes are bloody everywhere. Like, oh man, they would wreck you. Like, my brother and I, we sucked as kids at that. Like, and did you play the second one, Shining Force 2?
I've played it. I've never completed it. I feel bad about it.
It's good. I always liked the first one better. 2 is just the first one, but it's bigger and everything has more health and there are more characters. But
There's a lot of characters.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like the first one better. I don't really know why, but I do. But 2 is also really, really good. I enjoyed it as well. Such a good game. Oh my gosh. Like, you're one of the few people I know that's played Shining Force. Most people have no idea what that is. Like Fire Emblem, I'm like, no.
Yes, what I like Fire Emblem, but it's no Shining Force. When I said something about Shining Force and you mentioned that you loved it, that's when I was like, Al, my dude.
Right. That's right, dude. My dude. Like, I describe, they're like, what's Shining Force? I describe it, and they're like, oh, Fire Emblem. I'm like, no, it's not the same. Like, it's not
it's like Fire Emblem, but better.
Yeah. And there was a bunch of characters you could miss. Like Domingo, you didn't have to get him.
Oh, like a lot of the cool characters, I feel like you could miss. Like all the ninjas at the end of the game.
Oh yeah, the ninja at the end of the game. Gunts, the Steam Knight. That's like the metal.
You don't even have to get Gun, like the cool little monk. You don't even have to get him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You have to go in his house during the first battle. You're like, excuse us, goblins. We're gonna go. I'm gonna go visit this hermit. And
okay, so before Fire Emblem came and just let you repeat old battles, which makes no sense in World. This, I guess, makes no sense in World either. Did you have a specific battle? There's a spell you could cast. I guess I'll just explain in case people don't know.
Egress?
Yeah, there's a spell quest called Egress, which lets you just disappear from the battle as if it hadn't happened, but you keep all your XP. Was there a specific battle that you were like, this is the point of the game where I'm just going to egress until all my characters are stupid high level?
No, we didn't learn that as children. We would egress when we were about to die.
Yeah.
So there's the hardest battle I remember is the battle where you first meet Adam, and there's frickin' laser mechs torch eyes. They're called torch eyes. There's torch eyes everywhere. And Adam sucks. He's like in your party is like a guest, and he sucks because any character you get that late in the game is just like, why do you get that late in the game? Terrible. And so that one was hard. Like when the torch eyes started coming out like in force, the game just like spikes in difficulty. Also the carnival level, like early on, the one.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. This is obviously going too long, but I feel like I have to mention the fact that you get to that one level. I can't remember what it is, but you go to the church and everything is fishy. That whole town, the music in that town, oh my word. If you can find the MIDI for that town that just plays, it's dissonant as frick. And it's disturbing to play through. And you're talking to everybody and everything seems weird. And then you save your game, go to the church, a bunch of zombies turn on you like it's actually a cultist church. And then if you die, the save was fake because the priest wasn't real. That's I got screwed so hard the first time I hit that. I was terrified because I hated being in the level. Then I died in the level.
That's awesome.
I went all the way back because your save wasn't real. And I was like, no. It's the first time I ever saw something like that in a video game.
That is awesome. I will try to find that MIDI and play it. during
Awful.
editing. Oh my gosh, that's madness. All right, Michael. Well, it looks like Shining Force was great. Like, if you have not played Shining Force and you like Fire Emblem, you should play Shining Force. It's so good. Like, who was your favorite? Like, who did you always use in your playthrough? My brother and I was Xylo. We always use Xylo. Xylo's too good. He's too fast and too strong.
He's
The
very,
werewolf.
very good. I mean, also, like, so the Game Boy Advance version semi-randomized certain stats, so it would encourage you to play different characters in different playthroughs.
That's cool. That's cool.
But basically, either is I think you mentioned him earlier. Is Gunst the name of the dude you find, the old guy you find in the bar that's in the Broken Town? He's an
No,
optional character. Or is
no.
Gunst the name of the mecha
Gunst is the
armadillo?
mecha armadillo with the treads for the legs. That's Gunst.
Whatever the old guy, he's just like an old geezer you find in the bar when it gets wrecked after you lose like the first battle.
Is it the dwarf?
I think he's a dwarf.
Gort?
Either Gort or Luke. One of them usually has insanely high stats for defense and
Oh,
attack.
yeah. Mhm.
So you're going to end up using them. And then also, like, I had different people when I played it with my friends as a kid. A lot of people are afraid to level up that main character because and I don't know the difference between the Genesis and the Game Boy Advance version. But a lot of people are afraid to mess with the main character too much because if he dies, you lose the battle entirely. So sometimes giving him in the front line is just a bad idea. But he can become a killer if you level him up, and he gets the lightsaber, and he gets like all these ridiculous powers. Like you're like, no, dude, I am going to be a killer in this game. I want to be cool.
He gets the Chaos Blade after you merge the Swords of Light and Darkness, and he's got the green saber. That thing is ridiculous. Oh yeah, the main character is so OP.
Well, and also like every time you get the characters to a certain level, you can like promote them, and they switch classes to become an Uber, which that also got absorbed into Fire Emblem. But there was something about seeing the new way your characters would look after you leveled them up, like seeing Xylo go from regular werewolf to like weirdly samurai werewolf. It's like
where as in his first class, he looks like kind of a woodsman werewolf, and he jumps and he like leaps and scratches with his claws. But then in his promotion, he just does this, and like these energy ghost wolf heads appear and attack. Like the different way they attacked was always awesome. Also,
well, and I think that in the Game Boy Advance version, they like critical hits are sometimes different. Like sometimes Xylo, I'm pretty sure, would just do like the Sonic thing where he jump up and just slam out of the sky on people.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. So, what a good game. Shining Force is so good. All right. So I guess we're just gonna do one more and then just like leave it at TBD, to be continued, which is fine. This has been a blast. Like, I don't ever want to discourage tangents. All right, what's gonna be my next one? What I do? Witcher 3.
Number 4.
This is my third one.
Oh frick.
We will both have done 3.
Oh no.
You did Kingdom Hearts, Shining Force, and
Dragon Age.
And I've done Bloodborne, Witcher 3, and what am I going to go with here? I'll go with I'm going to say Persona 4 here.
Yeah.
For me. The Persona game. So you have to be a certain level of weeb to enjoy the SMT games.
It's true.
The Shin Megami Tensei games are about as unapologetically Japanese as you can really get.
Oh my word, yes.
And my first experience with an SMT game was with a PS2 game called Digital Devil Saga that just looked freaking awesome, and I played it, and it was so cool. It was about a world that had been like post-apocalyptic world, and like everyone lived in kind of like, you had like a computer avatar trying to like kill you, and with it, like you became essentially part of the computer, and with it you would eat demons. And it was the first game that I think that introduced it just used the press turn system. Anyway, it was bizarre, but it was really interesting, unlike anything I've ever played. Super weird SMT crap. Like, I'm just like, what? And then for my PS1, after I played that game, I tried to track down the other SMT games. And so I played Nocturne, which I don't really like because I don't really like the story, and it's just hard for being hard. But then I played Persona 2 for PS1. And it deals a lot with rumor and how literally rumors would like change the game, like depending on what rumors you would spread. Like you would spread rumors about like, oh, hey, you can make more money here. And it's like that trope you were talking about in your video today, where like the things that you write or like say become reality. That's really kind of what it was about. And so that was really fun. And then Persona 3 came out, and it was dating sim, slice of life combined with Japanese press turn dungeon. Like, what? What? And it scratched every itch I didn't know I had, Michael. Like, it hit every, because I mean, I was at the time, I was taking Japanese at the college. Like, I was
Nice.
just about to go study in Japan. Like, I was, like I was surrounded by weebs as well. And it was just like, I was just like, oh my gosh, are you kidding? And it was so good. And then the fourth one came out, and the small town, because the third one takes place, I don't know if it's Tokyo, but it's definitely in a big city.
Okay.
But the fourth one takes place in the countryside, and it came out, I think, after I had been to Japan. So I kind of like had experienced the Japanese countryside, and it was a murder mystery as well. And I love those. I love murder mysteries just in general. Like, and so I loved the story that it told with like the TV, like, going the TV and like these different like dungeons that are kind of like consciousness, all the while, like, who is killing all these children? Like, and then oh man. And then when it hit close to home, like with your little cousin.
Oh, dude. Yes. That moment, dude.
Nanako, like, you're just like, no.
You can't do this.
Oh, it was so good. And I love Persona 5. I played both the original and Royal. I put too many hours into Persona, and Persona 5 is fantastic. But I just think that the smaller scale, like, I just think the story of 4 I liked the best. I love it so much. And I love the dating sim. Like, I love seeing, like, is my character going to be? And the thing is, it's a game, right?
Yeah.
But I still can't be the guy that goes on dates with everybody. Like, I can't. Like, I can't.
Why would you? Yeah, you don't want to be a player.
Yeah, I know, but it gives you the option to. But I just can't. I just can't. I'm like,
who was your character's love interest?
Risu.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Everyone I've ever talked to before is like a huge Chie stan, and I was like, she's cool, but like
a Chie stan?
Yeah,
the athlete?
Yes.
Risu, get out, Risu, dude, a Chie stan?
Hey, hold on.
I thought it would
you talking about?
It would be a the dark haired girl. You what's her name? What's the dark haired girl? Persona 4.
I don't remember. Wait, are you talking about the girl that's like the pop star?
Yes.
No.
You did Yukiko then, the dark haired girl in the red.
Yes.
Yukiko is a good second choice. Yeah,
I like Yukiko.
Rise, the pop star.
No.
What?
No, it's like, I don't want to date Hannah Montana.
She's your brush with greatness.
my claim to fame is that I'm the dude who goes into TV shows to stop a murderer.
But Rise can fund your murder stopping habit. You never have to work again.
I did not hate her, but also she was not my go-to.
I get it. I almost picked Yukiko because I really liked Yukiko, because you have Yukiko for longer than Rise.
Yes. I think that's the main reason that I cared, was because I had already sort of liked her as a character before the character comes along.
I'm okay with Yukiko. I don't understand. Yeah, I definitely don't understand the Chie standing. I don't get that at all. But it's just so good. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you've played it also. It's so good. And
I knew nothing about this series going in. I knew that it was coming to PS4. Persona 4 Golden was coming to PS Vita. And I knew that it had like insanely high Metacritic scores, but I knew zero going into it. So I'm like in Ohio for Thanksgiving. Like we would do that all the time. And I had a ton of extra time because we would spend like a week there after Thanksgiving when all the rest of the family would leave and I'd be stuck there. I was like, I got some money. I'm going to go buy Persona 4 Gold. No idea what it is. Go sit out in the car. Of course, like, because it's a JRPG that is story focused, you don't get to like a save point for like an hour and a half into the initial cutscenes. So like, what is going on? Like, I'm just going around and eating ramen. But then eventually I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm into this. And it's so long. It's like maybe too long because it goes so long. But
did you play 5?
I did not play 5.
It's longer.
Oh no.
Persona 5. I didn't think Persona 4 was too long. I think Persona 5 is too long.
So I don't think I could beat a Persona game that wasn't on a portable system.
Oh, I completely get it. And the thing is, you can't, like, really for any JRPG, you can't just be like, I'm gonna play for 30 minutes, because 30 minutes is done and all you've done is organize your inventory. Like, that's all you've done. You've equipped your party and 30 minutes is done. Nothing. I hate it.
Well, and there's so many different ways you can maximize your time, but I wasn't using any guides to my first playthrough. I'm just going to try to live these characters' life. But the amazing thing about the fact that it's a slice of life game and a dating sim and all these other things is when the game's freaking 60 or 70 hours long, even on a casual playthrough, you totally get a feel for these characters in a way like you do close to a book than most video games that are 20 hours long.
Yeah, completely.
So when I don't remember the name of that like your stepsister essentially, but when she gets kidnapped,
Nanako,
you get freaking ticked off. You're like, why the frick did someone kidnap her? This is too serious now. Like, I gotta go kill something because it's bad. And then the whole like mood. First of all, the style in the game is persistent throughout every menu, every song, every like thing that happens.
Every day's great at your Tunis. Every day's great at your Tunis.
And then crap, I don't remember where I was going with this, but the vibe of everything is so perfect. And it fits so well with the fact that you're spending so much time in there that you get secretly invested just because you spend a lot of time with them. And it's like subversive in a weird way.
Yeah. Are you a Teddy fan?
I think Teddy's kind of a little pervo, a little bit. Like,
Please don't tell me.
Whoa, he's here. This really hits the spot.
What the? I mean, how'd you? It took you guys long enough. I've been waiting.
So weird.
He's the anime character that exists in a game that, like, for it to be logically consistent, you have to kind of pretend he's not real.
Yeah,
like we're all group hallucinating this guy because he's very disturbing. When he goes human mode and they're still talking to him like he's a bear, as if he looked like a bear before. He doesn't look like a freaking bear. He's like a giant mascot.
But he's one of those Bishi anime characters. Like, it's just, oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. But like the reveal of like the serial killer's like identity and stuff, I was just like, why?
It completely surprised me.
Me too.
Oh,
me too.
that's what I was gonna say. The you talked about like in the murder mystery, just like the mood of it being crazy foggy, and all of a sudden somebody's freaking hanging from this
light post.
Yeah, like light post or
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool because that's a moment that I think of every time it's freaking foggy. I think of Persona 4 because of how like just pervasive that game was for my life at one point.
I never played Golden, but I've heard Golden is just fantastic. It just improves every way on the original one. I have a Vita sitting here. Like, I need to play Golden.
Well, I'm pretty sure they just shut off the Vita store. Or they're
no, they didn't. They walked it back. Sony reversed that.
Oh.
They're not closing the PS3 or the Vita store.
Nice.
Because they said they were going to, and I think people were like, "That's stupid. Why are you doing that?"
I was like, I haven't touched my Vita in forever, but that makes me sad.
I don't understand why I can't get Vita games and play them on my PlayStation. Like, why can't I just download them and play them on my PlayStation?
That seems like a question that should have an easy answer, and I don't know.
Sony makes a lot of decisions that I don't understand, and I'm just like, I don't like. Do you want people to hate you? Because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing right now.
Man, the console wars would be a fun topic for a future.
Yes, we will put a pin in that for the console wars. So, Michael, we got through 3 of our top 10. So people have to stay tuned for our second installment where maybe we'll get through another 3.
We could probably do a whole hour talking about 2 games, so do 3, 3, 2.
I mean, that's probably true. Well, the thing is I have a couple on here that probably won't spark a ton of discussion because I guarantee you probably haven't played them. So it'll really just be, and if you have one that I haven't played also, like the problem is that we've run across games that we've both played. And so we've both had plenty to say about them. So we'll see. But this has been awesome. Like, thanks for talking about RPGs, and I really thought we were gonna get through 5.
You sparked this whole discussion. I think you texted me. It was like, yeah, we need to make a video about talking about our top 5. And so thank you very much for that. And also thank you for reminding me of it constantly instead of just letting it die, because obviously we were both busy. It
Yeah,
made it hard.
we thought this months ago, and it's just taken forever to be like, you know what? Let's just freaking put out this RPG video. Like, let's do it.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, then I'm gonna cancel the live, and look for us next time on Michael's channel for part 2. So bye, guys.